Princess Diana of Themyscira, aka the Wonder Woman, attends an evening party in Paris, surrounded by curious onlookers who are just dumbstruck by her beauty and mystery. Fortunately, she is rescued by a handsome gentleman who asks for a dance to her great relief. Little by little, they get to know each other. When Bruce admits that he is surprised to see a woman like her at a party, she explains that she's decided she needs to get out more and try to have some fun. They are obviously enjoying each other's company and continue to flirt. Meanwhile, in the other corner of the room, Princess Audrey, heir to the throne of Kaznia, enjoys her moment with the paparazzi. Just then, a group of terrorists drop in through the ceiling and seize the young Princess Audrey by force, intending to abduct her. Bruce is about to slip away and assume his secret identity, but finds it unnecessary when Diana rescues Princess Audrey single-handed and takes down the terrorists. Audrey thanks Diana enthusiastically and invites her to spend the evening with her club hopping. The princess explains she's getting married soon and wants to enjoy her last night as a free woman. Later that night, a trio of burglars, armed with energy ray guns, break into Star Labs' Paris facility to steal a microchip. Unfortunately for them, the Dark Knight, Batman, appears. After throwing punches at each other, Batman captures one criminal while the others escape. Batman starts to interrogate the burglar, who sneers in his native language, Kaznian, and tells that Batman can't understand a word he's saying, and he won't tell him anything anyway. Menacingly, Batman closes in, replying in fluent Kaznian, "This is exactly why even when we grow up, we always want to feel and become our own Batman inside us, because there is nothing, absolutely nothing the Batman cannot do. He is the badass crime fighter all of us dreamed to become, even when we were small." Later, as Diana returns to her hotel, she meets Batman, who informs her that the burglar is a Kaznian Special Forces officer, part of a team that has been stealing classified weapons technology. Diana confronts Princess Audrey, who swears that neither she nor her father know anything about it. Diana believes her and apologizes. Audrey says there is nothing to apologize for since they are friends, and Audrey respects that Diana, like herself, has responsibilities that sometimes put her in uncomfortable situations. At her engagement party, Audrey introduces Diana to her fiancé, Vandal Savage. Diana recalls Savage's involvement in World War II, but he claims to be Vandal Savage the Third, the grandson of the Nazi-era Savage. He is now administering Kaznia's substantial contribution to an international space station. Meanwhile, the space mission commences with the Kaznian astronauts getting on board onto the rocket. After landing on the International Space Station, the team of Kaznian operatives boards the space station and takes the crew hostage. Back in Kaznia, a maidservant poisons the king on Savage's orders, giving the appearance of a paralytic stroke. Hearing the news, Princess Audrey is heartbroken and flies home immediately. Batman contacts Wonder Woman with the new development. Immediately, Diana takes to the skies and flies to intercept their plane and warn Audrey, but she is knocked out by a sonic blast from Savage's henchman, Colonel Vox. Arriving in Kaznia, Princess Audrey visits her ill father and decides that she needs to assume the throne for the good of her country. The princess decides that, as a sign of the royal family's stability, her wedding to Savage should take place immediately, which pleases Vandal Savage more than anything. Wonder Woman awakes in a French farmhouse after her fall. Right beside her is Batman, and he informs her of Audrey's impending wedding taking place in Kaznia, and Diana flies to Kaznia in a rage, followed by the Batwing. In a fight with Kaznia's military forces, Diana has to get on the ground to take cover from the Air Force jets and engages with the armed soldiers. Batman takes a hard hit and the Batwing goes to the ground, destroying the Kaznian army as well. Wonder Woman throws a tank through the wall of the palace chapel just as Audrey is getting married, but unfortunately she is incapacitated by Savage and taken prisoner. Feeling humiliated, Audrey refuses to listen to Diana's warnings. She then lawfully marries Savage. As they dance at a royal reception, Savage confides to her that, though she only married him out of duty, he will give her the whole world that she dreams of. Audrey becomes queen, making Savage de facto ruler of Kaznia. On her wedding night, Audrey wakes to find Savage missing and goes around the castle in search of him. When she finds him, he immediately announces his plan via worldwide broadcast. An orbital railgun has been mounted on the space station, capable of firing asteroids at Earth with pinpoint accuracy. And to demonstrate, he fires one at the ocean, creating a tidal wave that sinks a U.S. Navy aircraft carrier group. Savage claims dominion over all the nations of the world. Seeing the broadcast, the Justice League team, the Flash, John Johns, and John Stewart head for the space station in the Javelin, but are shot down by the space station's defenses, which now work under the command of Vandal Savage. Princess Audrey then confronts her husband, calling him a lunatic like his grandfather. Savage chuckles and admits that he's the original Vandal Savage. Audrey says that is impossible. He'd have to be over a century old. Vandal Savage smiles with contempt. In fact, he is over 25,000 years old and has not aged a day since a meteor fell to Earth, bathing him. The only one of his prehistoric tribe braves enough to approach it in a strange radiation that rendered him immortal and helped him to understand his destiny, which is to become the ruler of the world. Audrey, trying hard to maintain her aristocratic poise, reminds him that she is the heir to the Kaznian throne, and Savage rejoins that he has taken advantage of that fact by marrying her and by poisoning the king. In a rage, Audrey rakes her fingernails across his face, but is stunned to see the scratches healing almost instantaneously, confirming his tale. Savage orders her own guards to drag her away and lock her in her room. In space, Green Lantern's ring has kept John, Flash, and himself safe from the explosion. They board the station and fight to retake it. On Earth, Batman misleads the guards and frees Wonder Woman. They then go and rescue Princess Audrey, who guides them to where Savage is giving out his commands from. Batman and Wonder Woman fight their way into the control center, knocking out Savage and his henchmen. Vox tries to incapacitate Diana again, but she resists long enough to knock him out by using Audrey's diamond earrings as impromptu earplugs. Batman knocks Savage out, but not before Savage initiates a meteor strike on France. Neither Batman nor the team in space are able to prevent the railgun from firing, but Batman is able to change the target to the palace in Kaznia. He hits a fire alarm and uses the palace address system to order an evacuation in Kaznian. While the conscious guards and servants flee, he and Diana evacuate Audrey, the unconscious guards, and the paralyzed king. The asteroid hits, with Savage still inside. In space, the rest of the League evacuates the space station, which then self-destructs. As Diana and Audrey inspect the ruins of the palace, Savage emerges from underneath the rubble, disheveled but completely unharmed, his broken bones snapping back into place. Audrey's guards seize him and drag him away, with Audrey promising that he will pay for his crimes. Vandal taunts her to do her worst, claiming that he can't be killed. She smiles coldly, promising to test his claim to the fullest. After all the drama has unfolded, Diana teases Batman about a dance that he owes her. Meanwhile, in his workshop, Hephaestus is putting the finishing touches on a breastplate. Ares, the god of war, appears and demands his special order. Hephaestus finishes assembling his latest creation, the Annihilator, a gigantic suit of armor. To test it, Ares draws his sword, and the Annihilator springs to life, attacking him until he calls it off. Seems like even the god himself cannot stand its might. In a war-torn city in the northern region of Kaznia, Mr. Sarah, who is actually the god Ares, demonstrates the Annihilator to Nardoc, the leader of the northern faction. It easily tears through a squad of Nardoc's troops firing at it. Nardoc is interested but mentions how poor his people are. Ares smiles and says they can pay him later, and Nardoc eagerly takes control of the Annihilator. Back in the city, a group of bank robbers are fleeing when they unluckily run into Wonder Woman, surprisingly, who has been taking a day off. She easily stops their getaway, but is unappeased and about to inflict much greater damage on them when Joan calls with a new mission. The civil war in Kaznia has flared up again, and Queen Audrey has asked for the Justice League's assistance, because the fighting could easily start conflicts all over the country. Wonder Woman rants about how senseless and belligerent humans are, but John warns her that she is becoming dangerously hostile herself. On the way, she stops to pick up the other two members of her team, brothers Hawk and Dove, who are in the middle of a bar fight with a group of patrons taking exception to Dove's pacifist views. In the southern Kaznians' camp, a monk exhorts the southern forces to attack the northerners and take the land that is rightfully theirs. The southerners launch an offensive attack at the call of their leaders, and we get to see who really the monk is, and no surprises at all, it's God Ares, again. I assume all of you can understand how the civil wars work all around the world now, right guys? On the ride to Kaznia, Hawk and Dove engage in one of many debates about the usefulness of negotiation versus action and peace versus war. They arrive to see the Annihilator leading a counterattack against the Southerners. Diana, Hawk, and Dove attempt to stop the violence, but the Annihilator is unstoppable, even by them. In one encounter with it, Diana gets close enough to see its breastplate, where she recognizes Hephaestus's mark. She orders Hawk and Dove to fall back. Dove proposes that they abduct the leaders of the two factions and bring them face to face to negotiate. Wonder Woman approves of the plan and tells them to carry it out while she flies off. The southern forces fall back and the fighting dies down. Incredulous, Ares demands to know why Nardoc has not pushed ahead to capture the Southerners' camp, which has enough weapons to equip an even greater offensive. Nardoc says his people aren't interested in conquest, only in keeping their territory secure. Ares goes berserk and delivers a tirade in his immortal guise, shouting that humans' only purpose is to slaughter as many of each other as possible, and that Nardoc had better get with that program before the Southerners make their next move to destroy the North. Deciding that Serah is crazy, Nardoc orders him out. But Ares decides to replace Nardoc as the Northerners' leader. Diana confronts Hephaestus at his workshop. He cheerfully admits to having made the Annihilator for Ares, and also confides that it is his habit to leave a weakness in all of his creations just to prevent anyone from becoming too powerful. However, he refuses to tell her what the Annihilators, and threatens her that Diana's armor has a weakness too. She throws him against the wall and draws back her fist, and he smiles and says, "With that attitude, you'll never figure it out," as she leaves. Dove sneaks into the northern camp to find Nardoc and proposes peaceful negotiation. He is unaware that Nardoc is now God Ares in disguise and gets captured. In the southern camp, Hawk grabs their leader, but suddenly the camp is under attack by the Northerners. In the lead is the Annihilator, with Dove tied to its front. Hawk tries to subdue the Southerners to keep them from firing at it, but the fighting is soon out of control. Diana arrives and tells the soldiers that they are being used. One soldier scorns her words and strikes her with his rifle. In rage, she snatches the rifle away and raises it over his head. Then realizes what Hephaestus meant. The Annihilator is fueled by their aggression. Hawk has freed Dove, who runs to the entrance to the southern camp. As the Annihilator approaches, Dove tells the guards to lower their weapons. They don't believe him, but he says they can't defeat it anyway, so they may as well try his way. As the Annihilator bears down on Dove, Hawk rushes toward his brother, but Diana holds him back. The guards lower their weapons, the Annihilator raises its fist to smash Dove, and then, out of the blue, the big mad monster shuts down, deprived of its fuel. God Ares, enraged, appears in his full divine regalia, telling both sides to keep fighting. Seeing that they have been used, both sides stand down. Ares vows that he will be back, finding a war to start wherever there is prejudice, misery, and inequality. He disappears as the Kaznians withdraw, and the League bids farewell to the country. Thank you for watching Second Look. Like, comment, share, and subscribe for more awesome videos. Have a nice day.